I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, in a community where everyone seemed to know everyone else's business. Life there was simple and predictable, at least from the outside looking in. Families appeared picture perfect. Children played on the same streets their parents had grown up on, and neighbors waved warmly every morning. I had always thought stability was the hallmark of this neighborhood until one evening changed how I looked at relationships, trust, and forgiveness. My name is Emily Roberts, and I'm 35 years old. I work as a school counselor at a local high school, which means I spend most of my days guiding teenagers through complicated emotions and helping them find their sense of identity in a world full of noise. Counseling came naturally to me because I had always been the kind of person people trusted. My friends, my colleagues, and even strangers at times would open up to me. I thought I had seen it all: teen heartbreaks, broken homes, and the devastating effects of secrets. But nothing prepared me for what I caught one evening. It was late summer, the kind of evening when the air is heavy but comforting. I had gone for a walk around the block after dinner, something I often did to clear my head. I passed by houses I had seen for years, noticing familiar cars parked in driveways, children's bikes leaning against garage doors, and the glow of televisions flickering inside living rooms. When I turned onto Maplewood Avenue, I noticed something unusual. The house belonged to Sarah and Daniel Miller, a couple who had lived in the neighborhood for about 7 years. They were friendly, active in community events, and seemed to be a happy family. Sarah often hosted book clubs and garden parties, and Daniel, a financial advisor, was known for being charming and generous. From the outside, theirs looked like a marriage people admired. But as I passed their house, I froze. Through the wide front window, which was partly covered by thin curtains, I saw Daniel sitting at the dining table with a woman who wasn't his wife. It wasn't Sarah. This woman was younger, stylishly dressed, and laughing in a way that felt almost rehearsed. Daniel leaned in closer to her, his hand brushing hers across the table. I stopped walking. At first, I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe she was a client. Maybe it was business. But the way Daniel looked at her, soft, attentive, almost captivated, was not how one looked at a client. It was how one looked at someone they were hiding feelings for. My chest tightened. I had known Sarah for years. She had invited me to countless neighborhood gatherings. She had told me stories of how she and Daniel met in college and built their life together from scratch. She adored him, trusted him, and saw him as her partner in every way. Seeing him like this felt like a betrayal not just to her, but to everyone who believed in the image they presented. I stood there for too long, unsure of what to do. That's when Daniel looked up and caught my reflection in the window. Our eyes locked. His face drained of color. He quickly excused himself from the table, leaving the woman sitting there, and walked toward the front door. I panicked, considering walking away before he opened it, but it was too late. "Emily," he said, his voice tense but trying to sound casual. "What are you doing out here?" I swallowed hard. "Just walking." I didn't mean to interrupt. He stepped outside and closed the door behind him, blocking the view of the woman inside. His voice dropped. "Please, don't misunderstand what you saw." "Daniel," I said carefully, "I'm not blind. And I know Sarah." He ran a hand over his face, exhaling heavily. For a moment, he looked less like the confident man everyone admired and more like someone burdened with guilt. "It's not what it looks like," he insisted, though even he seemed unconvinced. I've been going through things. You don't understand." I could have walked away. I could have told him it wasn't my business. But something in his eyes, fear, desperation, shame, stopped me. I knew this wasn't just about what I saw. It was about why he was doing it, and what would happen if Sarah found out. "Daniel," I said softly, "if you're struggling, you need to face it. Hiding behind someone else isn't the answer. Sarah doesn't deserve this." He shook his head, almost angrily. "You don't know how lonely it gets, Emily. Sarah and we've drifted apart. She's busy, I'm busy, and it feels like we're just roommates sometimes." Then this woman came along, and for the first time in years, I felt alive again. His voice cracked slightly. I let his words sink in. I had heard similar things from couples in counseling sessions: the yearning for connection, the ache of being unseen, the justification for choices that only created more pain. But hearing it here from someone I knew in my own neighborhood made it real in a different way. Do you really think this will fix the emptiness? I asked. Or will it just destroy what's left of your marriage? He looked away, staring down at the porch steps. I don't know. For a long moment, we stood in silence. I could hear the muffled laughter of the woman inside, still waiting at the table. The sound felt almost haunting. Daniel, I finally said, you have two choices. You can keep hiding, lying, and risk losing everything. Or you can be honest with Sarah, with yourself, and try to rebuild. It won't be easy, but at least it will be real. He blinked hard, as if fighting back tears. And if she leaves me, then at least you'll know you gave her the truth. That's more honorable than betraying her trust in the shadows. He didn't answer. I could tell he was wrestling with his conscience. After a moment, he nodded slowly. You're right. I need to end this before it goes any further. I didn't stay to see what he did next. I turned and walked away, my heart pounding. I had caught him in a moment I didn't expect, and I had confronted him with words I hadn't planned. But I knew it was the right thing to do. In the weeks that followed, Sarah seemed different. At first, I feared Daniel hadn't taken my advice. But then, one afternoon at the grocery store, she stopped me in the aisle and said, "Thank you for being a good neighbor, Emily. Daniel and I are working through things. It's not perfect, but we're talking again. That means more than you know." I realized then that Daniel must have confessed. I didn't need the details. All I needed to know was that honesty had replaced secrecy. That night, as I sat on my porch, I thought about how fragile relationships can be. Trust isn't just about loyalty. It's about communication, presence, and choosing each other even when it feels easier to drift away. Catching Daniel in that moment taught me that sometimes people lose themselves, but with honesty and courage, they can find their way back. And maybe, just maybe, I had helped him take the first step.